Listener question, mailbag. A topic I don't ever think you two have ever discussed is how we should determine what to do with our lives in terms of career choice as followers of Christ. So this is assuming that you're Christian and are saved or converted. In our faith, is our faith independent from what career choices we make? Example, God doesn't care what we choose as long as it's a career that isn't contrary to God's word. Or should we be laying each one of those decisions before God and seeking his guidance in these things? If the latter is true, what does that look like practically? And maybe added to this, you could share why you and Gary do what you do and how you ended up there.
Well, I think the question is basically answered in the question. I mean, it is the latter.
Yes.
Right. And I think that most young people, like I speak at Timothy, I've spoke there a couple of times in the career, at the grade 12 career class or whatever. And it's fascinating because I would have been the same way when I was in high school. But when you're in, grade 11 or 12 and you grew up in a culture where it's all about what you have, all you can think about is how much money you could make or what that would look to some degree. I mean, that's probably not fair. There's probably kids there that are thinking a bit deeper than that or just but I mean, I think a lot of people struggle in their work-life career just because they're not following God's path for them, right? I know even my life, some of the times when it's gotten really grindy, there's only one or two reasons it's that way. It's either because God's trying to just teach me a lesson, I need to persevere, or the opposite, where, hey, I never should have went down this path. I've experienced that periodically where it's like, okay, no, I'm not being blessed here. And to discern that is hard. And I've prayed about it or I've had
because even if you're making lots of money doing well, it doesn't mean
you're doing the right thing.
No,
so
that's right.
No. So I think that just the idea of, and it'll just lead to other problems.
Yeah.
And I think that I have felt true blessing in struggling and just in that wrestle. And I think that, like, I had somebody else call me the other day about something pretty weighty at church that they're struggling with. And I just said, man, there's just something really special about just literally pray about it, right? And seek God's guidance and maybe run it by, be careful because you pretty soon are gossiping, but run it by one or two trusted people maybe that you would look to for respect. I mean, in career-wise, I have to be really transparent. I feel like I have kind of fallen into everything that it's not as if I had some grandiose vision. Like, I always wanted to be a dairy farmer, mostly because I was told I never could. Like, I love cows and love farming, but it was the whole idea of my whole youth. You were said, hey, if your parents didn't own a farm, you will never milk cows. And initially I kind of probably accepted that at face value. And then as things changed, I'm like, no, that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Right. And then managed to kind of claw my way into that. Right. But I don't know. God, have I prayed about stuff? And I probably haven't. So I'm probably not near qualified to answer this question in a really great way.
You have to be perfect at it first before you get qualified?
Sorry?
You have to be perfect at it first before you're qualified?
No, but I just think there are people that are way more thoughtful. That, I am pretty impulsive, and you probably are too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is, are you a Christian? That's the most important thing. It's if you're thinking about this in terms of what does God want me to do, and you're not even saved, that, deal with that first. But secondly, I asked Matt actually about this, and he said the Christian's life is for the glory of God at any cost. That's that's your goal is to glorify God in whatever you're doing. And so if you're looking at a career choice, how can I glorify God in this? It doesn't mean that that means you have to be saving people, but that's the goal and everything. And that should be the overarching question. So if I think of my own life, of course I was working at MDT and I was making really, really good money and I was traveling the world and meeting cool people. And I remember being at Promontory Church and Pastor Jonathan was preaching, and I remember him specifically saying talking about sacrificing and following God. He goes, maybe this means you need to quit your job. And I was like, oh, and I remember, and then it was a couple weeks later, he had a similar sermon. He mentioned it again. And, that's hard to do when you're, traveling the world and making the really, really good money, and that you have to quit and not really know what that means and where you're going to end up. I also I got all the training to become a coach, not to actually become a coach, but to be a better leader at MDT. I didn't think about becoming a coach. I thought maybe one day, and it wasn't until someone tried to hire me, and I said, hey, how about instead of me taking the job, I don't think you actually need me. How about I coach you instead? And then I kind of started from there. So I kind of fell into it a lot earlier than I ever expected to be doing it, but which is usually what happens. Usually it's God works in those kind of ways where it's not that clear and something that you're steamrolling towards. But yeah, I mean, yeah, does it? Your first goal should be like, my goal is to glorify God and follow Him, and then usually a lot of things will fall into place after that. So
interesting that even I'm just thinking about, even like now I'm trying to hire somebody there over at the shop, and it's like the person, I think I have somebody, and it's interesting how just different personalities. There's this guy is a Christian and like hesitant to change. And so there's probably people listening that probably do need to change what they're doing. They probably need to change their whole career. And it's fascinating how our human nature will just keep us in a very dark spot or totally working somewhere where we shouldn't be, either because of comfort or the amount of money we're making or just the unknown. That's just even people that are fine with change. I mean, I'd be a person that probably likes change more than most people.
yeah,
There's just times I just get stuck in a rut, and it's like just the unknown or the idea of like, making a change here is hard, right? So I think it's definitely worth praying about. And I mean, I know from experience with family that have worked in jobs where they were really unfulfilled or just felt like just start to become pretty jaded about stuff. If you're doing that, like either the situation needs to change or you need to change. One of the two. Like, I mean, we're not meant to be living in this state of perpetual, I don't think we are anyways, of perpetual discontent. And, there's probably some idea of like, hey, God's calling us to maybe uproot things a bit, right? And it's funny how much we can live. I mean, even just with sin, but just especially even like a job, we can just live in the
reading through Luke at the supper table, and it actually John the Baptist's, I think it's Jesus or John the Baptist, they're talking about like what happens after you follow God, and he's like, it says the soldier should be content with his wages, and we're just talking about contentment. I think there's also a contentment piece that people should be thinking about when it comes to this kind of stuff. But also, I think we're not going to get like an exact answer from God about what we should be doing or not be doing.
Most likely, could happen.
Could happen. Most likely,
it's not probably not going to be
usually
written on a wall.
It's in faith. Like Abraham, left the promise, like his land of the Chaldeans. He didn't know exactly where he was going, but God asked him to go. I got to think about me quitting. Like, I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I just knew that, hey, I needed to put my family first, and what I was doing right now wasn't like helping me get there anymore. And so you don't always know the answer, but God asks you to just move forward sometimes in faith. So, anyways, I want to share a quick story about Jonathan Klopp. You know him?
Yeah.
He's a coaching client and a listener of the podcast, and one of the owners of Quantum Engineering. They do structural engineering, so houses and stuff like that.
Great guys.
Yeah.
Great guys.
So we connected because he was a fan of the podcast, and we got talking, and he shared that everything was actually, like, I talked to him about coaching and stuff like that, and after talking to him, he said everything was going quite well in his business, and also in his family life, but he still felt empty and a lack of internal peace and a feeling of purpose. So I told him that my 10-week program would make a massive shift in that area. And he was leery, but chose to take the leap anyway. And so we finished up a bunch of weeks ago. And he wrote a long testimonial, so I'll read just a part of it. But he said, before working with Kyle, I didn't realize it, but I valued being busy because that's where I thought my worth came from. My busyness was turning into chaos. Work was dominating my life. My health and family were suffering. And I was sick of it. Kyle quickly helped me uncover the inconsistencies between what I believed and what I was actually doing. He cuts quickly through the bullshit and then tells you the truth, painful as it can be, and challenges you to think differently. Now, I'm living from a place of calm, planning ahead, delegating early, having hard conversations, and actually showing up for my family. And so it's not a stretch to say his coaching is life-changing. I wish I'd done this years ago. So I'll keep saying it. If you're ready to move the needle when it comes to your own internal peace, challenges you face in your business or at home, be a man and give me a call. My coaching will change your life. I guarantee it. Full money back. So if that's you, just text me or give me a call. 604-703-9045 is my number. And I won't pitch, no pressure, just a conversation to get clarity on how I can help you. So. Anything you got right now? Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.